Close of play of the third day of this fifth Test match between England and India. Edgbaston sees India leading by 257. They've got 7 second innings wickets in hand, so clearly they're in a very strong position indeed. Pujara is 50 not out. Rishabh Pant is 30 not out. They lost Gill for 4, Vihari for 11 and Kohli for 20. So lead of 257. Off they bowled England out for 284. First to go was Stokes, who hammered a catch to mid-off. He was actually dropped at cover and dropped at mid-off. The ball before, in fact, by Bumrah. But he was brilliantly caught there, third time, as it were, for 25. Bairstow the second to go for a 106 from 140 balls. He was caught by Kohli off Shami. Billings made 36. Broad 1, Potts actually rather useful 19, Anderson was 6 not out at the end. 3 wickets for Bumrah, 4 for Mohammad Siraj and 2 for the hard-working Mohammad Shami. So lots to talk about, of course. Deep Das Gupta's here and Mark Ramprakash here as well. I was going to mutter about the over rate. I forget everything else. But, we're in this new era, supposedly of exciting Test cricket. That last couple of hours was just, I thought, about the worst advert for Test cricket that you could find.
And to be honest, it's been the case right through this Test match. First innings, the over rate was 12. Second innings, when India were bowling, it was 11. And again, 12, back to 12 again. So, ideally speaking, you should be around that 14 over an hour mark. But it's like you're bowling at almost 2 overs shot every hour.
Yes. The ball the number of ball changes going on. I know it's been suggested in the press here that you should only be allowed so many, but things like that require regulation, and it's not just because this batch of balls is causing problems. I can't see it working quickly enough to bring in some sort of regulation. But Mark, that was pretty tedious stuff, wasn't it? Batsmen not ready when bowlers were, all those sorts of things. Yeah. Physio out there.
I think it's really tricky for the umpires, but you've got Aleem Dar, who's the most laid-back character, who really doesn't like to get too much involved. Of course, Richard Kettleborough is slightly different, and all the onus can't be on him to constantly be telling the batters to be ready. People coming on the field. But I guess it is part of their job. That, in particular, I think the last 20 minutes. Pujara had quite a long break there for seemingly just putting a plaster on his finger. I don't understand how that took quite so long. And I felt like the umpires really could have stepped in there and let them get on with it. We saw Jonny Bairstow do a similar thing, actually, to be fair. He got struck a blow on the hand. There was quite a long stoppage, which, if you're looking at little bits of gamesmanship at the end of the day, obviously the batsmen don't want to face too many deliveries, and it looked as though India were just running down the clock there. Look, it's within the rules, but it's a little bit of gamesmanship as well.
Yeah, and it does show very strongly when we've been watching the speed of the cricket in these last 3 Test matches. Anyway, that's all by the by. Let's talk about this game, shall we? 257 ahead with 2 days left. And leading the series 2-1. I know you get your 6 points for an extra win of a match, and they're tempting because India are hovering in 3rd place, I think, at the moment in that World Test Championship. Yeah. So they'll want those points. So on the one hand, you feel, India haven't really got to put any pressure on themselves to score runs quickly and set England anything. However, when you do look at that World Test Championship and the points available, how do you think, Deep, that they're going to play this tomorrow?
I think tomorrow would be a different scene altogether is what I think. Apart from the first half an hour or 45 minutes, I think India would be a lot more aggressive going in tomorrow, because again the important factor is, even though there are 2 days left, but you never know about the weather, right? So you've got to keep that at the back of your mind as well.
Tomorrow looks good, by the way.
Yeah, it looks good, but again, you never know.
Exactly.
So if you're in that Indian dressing room, you're thinking, okay, how many overs do I need? And then you kind of work your things backwards and say, okay, if I get around 90 to 100 overs, I'll be fine. That would mean maybe, bat through for another 60, 70 overs. And that would mean roughly around another 200 runs, which India should be very, very comfortable. Then you're talking about 400 plus lead. For that to happen, I guess it's important not to lose wicket in the first half an hour, 45 minutes, and kind of try and then bat England out of this game as much as possible.
Yeah. What do you think, Mark?
Well, it's so difficult to think about equations when you've got someone like Rishabh Pant at the crease, because he just, you've got 146 in the first innings very, very quickly.
Without breaking sweat, really.
Well, exactly, and such as the breathtaking stroke play, the range of shot, they can score so quickly. I mean, Pujara will continue on his merry way. He's in his bubble, and he plays a lot
Not sure
more.
about merry way, if I'm honest.
No, it wasn't too merry, actually, when he got hit on the finger. No, that's true. But he was gutsy today.
Yes, he was.
And
he was.
Actually, from an Indian perspective, I think that was quite an important innings. He was the glue, really, today in their batting. He will continue to play in his natural way, which is a very orthodox way, and I guess that will allow Pant, Jadeja, Bumrah, let's not forget the all-rounders,
absolutely,
to come in and play a few shots at the right time. But in terms of equations, I think the game will naturally evolve. I think that as we look down at the pitch, we're starting to see a bit more foot marks there and a bit more wear and tear. We've seen some uneven bounce. So I think there'll be a natural evolving process of the game tomorrow.
Apart from the obvious of England taking 7 wickets for no runs, I mean, do you think they're out of this effectively, or I mean, they're going to chase, I suspect, whatever's left? But you talk about uneven bounce and so on. Can you see any way back into this game for England?
Well, convention would say no. But this summer, strange things have been happening, and such as the belief in the dressing room. One thing I would say, from an England point of view, is that India were no doubt had an advantage through the rain breaks yesterday, and it really helped them dispose of the England top order. Now, if the weather is good and consistent, if you're a top order player and you can get through that initial burst of Bumrah, say 6 overs, Shami 6 overs, that I think is a different complexion from an England point of view. So that is something that they may cling on to, and if they can have a little bit more of a platform for the middle order and get some more overs into Thakur and make Jadeja bowl. He's a class bowler.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, and he may well get a little bit of something out of the surface. But it would take on a more normal way of an innings to evolve, as opposed to what happened when Shami bowled, I think 13 or 14 overs unchanged at one end. What with the rain breaks in between.
Yeah, and I mean, England are in a position where they get 2 points for a draw. But that's all that's at stake, really. So, do you think they're going to have a go at whatever they're left at the end? I mean, they're going to say, well, a draw gets us nothing apart from 2 points. If we lose, well, okay, India get a few more points, but it doesn't really affect us very much. Do you think they're going to go for it?
I think Stokes and McCullum have got to think about what do they want to get out of this game. They're up against a high-class team, and they will push for the win, no question. They will go for the win, but there is a point where can they get the draw as well? If wickets go down, they've still got to show that fight and determination to not get beaten. I mean, after all, you're playing for your country in a test match. You can't just give it away. So I think there is a balance there. And the whole point of playing in a World Test Championship is that there are points available. That could be a valuable 2 points on offer.
Yeah.
But I think more importantly, it goes to the mentality of a team, a young team in terms of McCullum taking over, where they are trying to build confidence through this mindset, but at the same time, they want to be resilient and hard to beat.
Let's talk about England's innings, shall we? Where they picked it up with Bairstow and Stokes together. How do you assess Stokes' innings again, Mark? That's twice now he's been caught at mid-off. He was dropped, obviously, a skyer. It was a real skyer, actually, at cover. He was then dropped by Bumrah at mid-off. A much more straightforward chance, actually, than the one that he actually hung on to the next ball. So that's successive innings now that Stokes has thumped catches to mid-off. 25 he scored this time. Just checking what he scored up at Headingley. 18. What do you make of that?
Well, I think if you look back over his career, he's had a really eventful career with the bat. He got a wonderful 100 at Perth, I seem to remember. Then he had a number of single-figure scores. He had that rollicking double 100 at Cape Town back in 2016. I felt he was very conservative in Australia again in the Ashes. I felt he wanted or should have played a few shots there to try and counter-attack. Here, of course, this summer, it's as though he's been given a license to just come out and swing the bat. And it is verging on reckless. And I think he's better than that. And we only have to think back to the Headingley magnificent innings to win that match, 150. And he took his time. He played conventionally to start with. He got himself in, got his eye in, and then he evolved from there. He's good enough to do that. I think as a batsman, I wondered whether he'd reflect on today and think, actually, within the game situation, what did my team need from me? Well, actually, Bairstow was going so well, I could have played a role that Jadeja played with Punt on day one. He could have done that because the ball was getting older, the pitch was playing okay, and actually he's given his wicket away. I mean, he survived 2 drop chances as it was.
Yes.
So whether they'll have that conversation with McCullum or not, I don't know.
And 2 self-inflicted drop chances too. It wasn't they nicked a slip, a good ball and was dropped. I mean, these were bludgeoning hits, weren't they?
Yeah, and there was poor execution.
Yeah.
He came down the wicket, hoiked it up in the air. It went a long way up.
Yeah, it did.
Poor Tucker underneath that. That was a difficult catch. But it's that sort of. It's a fine line between being aggressive intent, but also reckless. And I think with Ben Stokes, he's got so many international runs behind him. We've seen him be successful as a batsman in a more discerning way. He's got the shots, and the bad balls will come. At the moment, he just seems to be trying a little bit too hard to not only talk the talk but walk the walk on the field with this aggressive brand of cricket.
Yeah. What do you think, Deep, is sort of a neutral looking in on where Stokes is and England are?
I think we were talking about this on air while the game was on, and I think it just seems that he feels that he has to, walk the talk as well and show and lead the way in terms of this new approach. And yeah, I mean, listen, obviously he's a class act. There's no 2 ways about it, but it seems like he has to find the right balance between being aggressive and also being, wise about it. Because he's a natural stroke player. He's a naturally aggressive player any which way. Yeah. He doesn't really need to overdo it. And I think maybe he just feels that extra bit of pressure to kind of prove it out there and tell the dressing room as well, the other guys, this is how I want you to bat. This is, just try and be more aggressive and all that. Maybe he just needs to find that right balance, between being cautious and being aggressive at the same time.
You know Marcus Trescothick pretty well, Mark.
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to be saying? He's a batting coach.
Well, most batting coaches, I think, look at a player's strength and say play to them. Now, as I say, Ben Stokes is not a young man. He's got a lot of international runs, and you look back at when he's played well, and if people bowl short, he can play the hook or the cut. If people pitch it up, he can drive the ball brilliantly. But he also has a pretty good defence as well. So I don't think it needs to be as high risk as it's proving to be. And the reason I say that is because his team needs him to get meaningful scores. I mean, he's a massive part of that side as an all-rounder, batting at 6. England need him to get runs and also bowl his overs as an all-rounder. And I think when he's played well in Test cricket, it's definitely being aggressive, but it's more bona fide cricket shots.
Yes.
Just good cricket shots.
Yes. And so on to Bairstow we go, and I'm hoping we're going to hear from him shortly. He just keeps, he's just peeling out for these hundreds. 3 in a row now. I know that's not, that does happen quite a lot if you go charting through history, but even so, it's a wonderful achievement. He played himself in. He made a steady start, and then he and Virat Kohli seem to have a discussion, shall we say? And sometimes, well, as you two both know, sometimes players will do that on purpose. They just think, I'm not quite ticking here. I'm going to pick a fight with somebody. It's sort of often see Stuart Broad doing. Get grumpy about something and change the ball. I get cross about this because it just lifts you up. And I wonder if that's what happened with Bairstow, because that was the point after his not altercation, but his conversation with Kohli, that he suddenly went through the roof again.
True, but having said that, it was a very well-measured innings and very well-paced as well, because we've been talking about how this ball gets kind of softer after 30-35 overs. So his first 13 runs came off 63 deliveries, and then that thing happened. And next 50-60 deliveries, he got 87 runs. So that might have affected him, might have kind of lifted him up. But the very first ball after that altercation was a massive swipe on the onside, and he missed it completely by like quite a margin. But then, listen, I mean, yes, we're talking about how he's batting in this summer and being aggressive, but I thought this innings was very, very special in terms of the way he paced it. It was extremely mature to kind of realize what was happening in the first half of his innings, and then when he realized that the ball's not doing much and the bowlers are getting tired, then he can actually start playing a few more shots. So I thought that was a really, really nice innings, one of the best I've seen him bat, to be honest.
Yeah, it's worth making the point, I think, because everyone would immediately assumed it was Kohli picking the fight, but I think those who have listened in through the pitch mics, I think it was Johnny Bairstow who actually got wading in there and sparked it up.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, of course you get the normal noise from the fielding side, and I don't think it was anything more than that, but Johnny can be a little touchy at the crease. He's an emotional guy, and he can feed off that. It got him going. It got the juices flowing, and he had a massive waft. Got away with it. He also hit a couple of shots over the top, which he didn't really get hold of. So he had a little bit of luck in that way, and then bang! All of a sudden, he found his timing. He found his rhythm. He relaxed a bit, but he was in the zone. You've got to be careful with players like that. You kind of wake them up. If you get sort of stuck into, the verbals, the adrenaline can flow. We've seen Bairstow come undone with that before, but we've also seen him do what he's done today, which is, he catches fire and he's off and running. And it was just fantastic entertainment, great shots all round the wicket. And I agree with Deep. This is a high caliber bowling attack. I think it's the best 100 so far this summer, without doubt.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just a quick one, you've got to go in a second. Sam Billings, I mean, do you think he is just keeping Ben Folkes' seat warm? I mean, he played well today. I mean, might he have a chance of keeping his place, do you think, or not?
Well, he's got a chance. I thought he played nicely. I think he's a good cricketer. He's not going to let England down at all. He's wholehearted. I mean, it's a difficult position to be in because Stokes has been very vocal about Folkes as his man. So look, I think Sam Billings, if he's selected for a game, he's just got to play it and enjoy it, give it everything, and see what happens.
Lovely. Well, thanks to you two, because you've got to go to the other end of the ground. Actually, I can see Ebony rehearsing her lines for the closing of the highlights. So you go and do all that, and of course you can catch those on iPlayer later on. Thank you, Mark Ramprakash and Deep Das Gupta. So as promised, then we can hear. Well, yet again they keep rolling him out, don't they? Johnny Bairstow speaking to Simon Mann.
Well, Johnny, another 100 in what's been a stunning summer for you. How did you rate that innings?
Yeah, I was pretty pleased. Obviously, they've bowled very well last night, and credit to them. They applied a lot of pressure and put us under pressure. So it was a case of soaking that up last night and then trying to reverse that and put it back on them this morning. Again, they bowled well. They hit the straps. Would have liked to have scored a few more, but that's part and parcel of the game and part and parcel of the way that we're looking to play our cricket. We're looking to play a positive brand of cricket. Move the game forward. Look, if we could nip a few out early on, Ben said at the toss that we'll be looking for a chase, and that's exactly what it'll be.
So you'll chase anything?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the mentality that we're going in with at the moment. We want to win games of cricket. I think if you're looking to survive on sometimes pitches like that, you can get yourself into negative positions, negative mindsets, and yeah, I think we'll be looking to chase anything down.
Just on your innings, I mean, it was different from the other two that you've played this summer because you had to work really hard at the start and you sort of reined yourself in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, last night was survival mode more than anything. They hit their straps, they were bowling very well. We were on and off quite a bit during the day, which potentially the conditions were probably more bowler favourable and they were able to get the feet up. I mean, yesterday I think Shami bowled about 18 overs, I think it was. Now, for an opening bowler to be able to bowl 18 overs, that must suggest that he's been able to have some time off the field as well. And we know the stamina and strength of character that he is. That coupled with the skills of Jasprit as well. But no, last night was very much survival mode.
Came out this morning. It's quite hard work as well for the first 20 minutes, half an hour. You had that conversation with Virat. Did that get you going?
Oh, look, I mean, it's part and parcel of the game, isn't it? We've played against each other for 10 years now, and we've had plenty of battles on the field, and that's exactly how it should be. We're fiercely competitive on the field and off the field. We'll be able to catch up, and that's the best part of it, because that's Test cricket. That's why we play the game. You've got guys out there that are wanting to do the best for the team. You've got bowlers that are wanting to take wickets, batsmen that are wanting to score runs, and it's part and parcel of the game.
How do you suddenly go from sort of defence, studied defence, if you like, then to all-out attack? Because it was like that, wasn't it, really, today?
Yeah, look, I think that you've got to be able to switch up and down with things. That's part and parcel of the game. That's why we play the game and work hard in our games. And from a mental point of view, being able to switch up and down as well. I don't know the exact bits behind it. You'll have to speak to a couple of other people about that. But no, sometimes you've got to shift momentum back onto the opposition, and that's what we had to do this morning.
What's it feeling like? You know, what's it like to be out there striking the ball this well?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm pleased. I'm contenting myself. I'm enjoying my cricket. It's great to be out there. Great to be contributing to the team, and it's a fantastic environment that we've got within the group. It's a positive environment that we've got. We feel as if we're able to move the game forward. We're able to have an impact on the game, and when you're out in the middle, it's your opportunity to have that impact. And we're backing everyone to do that, which is a really good place to be. If you're a bowler, then it's a case of going out and making your impact on the game and taking wickets. If you're a batter, it's about going out and maybe changing the momentum. When it's your day, make sure it's your day and capitalise on that. And everyone's empowered to go and do it.
Just one final point about the rest of the game. You mentioned actually the start of the interview, on that pitch. I mean, is it getting a bit up and down now?
It is what it is. There's no point in worrying too much about it. You can worry about it and things can get in your head, whether it's going up and down or starting to turn. It's going to be a day 4 wicket. Naturally, there's going to be a bit of wear and tear on the wicket, but that's part and parcel of the game. That is Test cricket. That's why we play for 5 days. But it's going to be an exciting couple of days ahead. So we'll be looking to come out in the morning, hopefully take a couple of scalps and move the game forward like I mentioned earlier.
Johnny, well played today. Great entertainment again. Thanks
Cheers.
very much for your time.
Thanks very much. Cheers.